something, I'll just share an observation. I think, the MIS program of IBA was a bit ahead of its time. The skill set that are required today are exactly what an MIS program would do, and what I think Humayun was talking about as well. This is something, because see, I don't represent a company that's into hardcore development today, right? We are IT services, so we do consulting work and pure IT services. So we require people who can understand situations, analyze them, and apply them to already made software, and then of course do the gap analysis, things like that. So we require business analysts, we require configurators, we require project managers. So I think that program in an enhanced form will add a lot of value for this sector, and there's good money to be made. There's a global sort of, the difference between programmers and consultants is they're not afraid of people. Consultants can go out and manage situations. Programmers are more in tune with computer systems, right? So the consultants don't need to be really excellent at coding or analyzing technical programs. I'm not talking about engineers, that's a different breed altogether. I'm talking about programmers, right? So I think this is an area where there's a lot of potential. And what I saw on the website before coming here, what you're doing in the MIS program, SAP, ABAP programming you're teaching, but there are, so that as an elective, I believe, right? So there are 3, 4 other, or maybe 5, 6 or 8 really high-end applications that have a lot of demand, because right now SAP has a global shortage of resources. Oracle Siebel, that's a high-end CRM. They have a global shortage. There's a shortage of consultants for BI. So if we look at trends and offer these electives as specialization, I think that will be fulfilling a very good industry demand. Just need to go beyond ABAP, because programmers, you can take a programmer of this, literally off the street, and train him for maybe about 4 to 6 weeks, and the guy will be productive. But configurators for applications, for BI tools, these are the skills that require some kind of analytical skills at the same time, not just programming skills.
Completely, sorry, I disagree.
I mean,
say that there's another opposing view. I respect the consulting industry, you have some of them, but you cannot, a programmer has to be extremely analytical, and the best programmers will be able to communicate their ideas very effectively.
I don't know, I've always had a distinction between programmers and engineers. I believe programmers are coders.
He was talking about his company's needs. So
I'm talking about from industry.
But let me ask you this question. I fully understand, and there is the need for this, but can that be addressed through a short training program, or does it need to go through a 2-year MIS program in order to get to where you need?
I don't think so. I don't think you can address, you can not build core analytical skills through a short training program. See, I'm not talking about just picking, when you talk about SAP ABAP, right? There's a difference between analyst, architect, and a coder from a consulting point of view. I'm talking about application consulting, right? Please don't get offended if you're a hardcore programmer or engineer. I don't even have a technical degree. I'm a hardcore BBM, a business school graduate from this institution only. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a very big demand of people who have analytical and communication skills.
But to me, I mean, an ERP, so it's either automating your finance, it's either or it's automating your HR. So depth in finance, depth in HR is far more important than.
ERP is a cheap. ERP is the has-been,
No, but the analyst that you are talking about has to have more business knowledge of the problem domain rather than the in-depth technology knowledge.
No,
so an MIS program.
If I can just, I would second what Jawad said earlier. I think if you're trying to build analytical skills, then what is really important is having a rigorous program where somebody's stretched, where they're solving difficult problems day in day out.
Yeah.
You can build those learning mathematics and debating. When you're done doing your mathematics problems.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So people skills and analytical skills are the two important things. And if you look at sort of the classic Western education, that's what it gives you, right? If you go to a liberal arts college in the US, you can study mathematics, you can study computer science, you can study physics, And they also make you go through, clubs and activities, and they make you study music and literature and so on, and they make you debate with each other and so on. So I don't think, I would agree that, SAP and Oracle, etc., you can take a 6-week course and you pick that up. If you have those core analytical skills that have been built
if
up.
you have. See,
If
that's
you
a
have
very
those-
big if. I went to a PILA school. Sorry, I didn't have the benefit of the Western education from a local school.
Right.
So,
but this is founded on Western principles.
yeah, but this is, see, right now majority of the students, they're not coming, when they're coming to IBA, they need to be groomed. The raw talent, because you're very young, you're like about 17 or 18 when you're coming into IBA, you need, I'm not debating the need for having a CS program. That's why I stopped at Reshar's presentation and said, okay, MIS program addresses that need. It is like a liberal school that you do your core courses in the first 2 years and then you pick your specialization. I'm saying that IBA's strength is building in analytical and communication skills, people skills. So we need to just build on that, and you can have a variety of these electives, right? Find something picks my fancy, I'll do 1-term course on IBA or CBO. It could be something you do after you graduate. Any good company will pick you up and train you on the specific tools. But the background will come through a college degree, it would not come through.
Absolutely.
So I fully agree with you.
Building on that specific tools point, I actually again don't disagree with you. I don't think an undergrad degree should be teaching you languages. I don't think it should be teaching.
So when did I ever say that, my dear friend?
No, when you say SAP or Oracle.
No. I thought that's elective. See, that's a good thing IBA teaches to listen as well, and I learned that. And I'll tell you exactly that. See, what he's saying is that you taught the basic fundamental courses like mathematics, like stats, and all these where you learn problem-solving techniques. All I'm talking about, these tools, they could be as electives later on, or companies when they hire people with good skills can teach these tools. My focus is not on tools. My focus is on 2 areas: communication and people skills, and analytical skills.
So basically, this is the overall composition of our BS program, and it's pretty much the same as listed by ACM or SEC guidelines. So we have got the same curriculum. We have certain number of core CS courses, then CS elective. Then we have certain number of supporting science courses, which is primarily math, physics, and statistics. Then we have general education, general elective. So I'm sure that you won't find any surprise courses. It's the typical CS curriculum that we have databases, few of hardware courses like technology design, computer architecture. Then we have communication courses, data communication, networking. Then we have AI, automata. So it's pretty much the same curriculum, BS curriculum you find anywhere else. I think you have an objection.
I know, I'm just looking at this.
Okay.
I'm hoping you won't jump to the next slide.
I think
How do you teach
It's in your
it's in your folder.
slides as well.
No, he's asking a question. How do you teach a programming course?
Can you please elaborate further?
What's the main sort of, what's the approach to your introduction to programming course? Do
Okay.
you start teaching C++ or do you teach concepts?
Okay. So basically, we decided almost a year ago that at least for the time being, in an experimental, on an experimental basis, we are going to focus on Java only. So for the first 2 semesters in our introductory programming course and in our root course, we teach Java. Of course, we start with what do you say, flow diagram, project development, but then our implementation that is Java.
It doesn't make any difference to me. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't language specific. Just as long as you're teaching pseudocode, which
Yeah,
is most
exactly.
important.
So basically, we have 2 programming courses. Then this is the support course. Again, this is a freshman level course into the computing. Here we will talk about computer science in general, what we are going to teach or going to learn in the next 4 years. And then we have entered data structures and some courses. If you look at the number of credit hours, so some courses they are 3 credit hours, some are 4 credit hours. All of these 4 credit hour courses they include lab. So it's 3 plus 1. So we have 3 credit hours of teaching and the 3 credit hours of lab hands-on experience. So they are probably, I think we have a semester of 40 weeks. So 40.
And are these programming assignments, I think, in the programming?
To be very honest with you, I don't teach any of the 2 courses, neither into the programming or object oriented, but Iran can better answer that.
Actually, what I used to, what my approach is, I give them 4 or 5 big assignments, and then I break those assignments into smaller assignments. And I always take some topic and give them some practice question. Sometimes when you say assignment, they are running after marks. I say no, these are practice questions. your skills. And then I help them for the net, sometimes, some session or something like that, or I may spare some 2 hours or 3 hours separately beside those 2 classes. I spare some time and help them in solving those questions. And I actually, what my approach is, problem solving skills. I develop that skill. If they know how to solve problem, if they know how to go, how to think out of the box. They're not supposed to be conventional. They should think the problem out of the box. They can come up with, many solutions of one problem. So this is my approach.
Do you teach recursion?
Yeah.
And just to build on that, what system program? What is that? What is system program actually?
This one?
System? I don't teach this course.
I've got someone. Git systems programming is basically the middleware computing programming. We're talking about, now Git talks about local procedure calls, remote procedure calls, and it also talks about distributed computing fundamentals. That is all covered in system programming, and it's also leading towards when we are talking about the masters and other stuff. So that is all integrated into system programming. But that's the first step, not the complete.
So basically this builds on top of our OS course.
Yes.
You have to take the OS first and then you can take system programming course.
So rather going back to what you said, when you teach the first 2 or first 3 courses on the programming side, do students actually build lists and trees by themselves in the code, and they learn how to work with them?
In first course, we don't straight away jump into what Java provides. I tell them, make it yourself. Don't use these functions. Make your own function. In this way, they'll think how to develop that function, which is actually Java is providing. If they'll be in very first semester, if they start using those functions provided by Java, they will not build problem-solving skills. So
they build lists and trees by themselves using their own code rather than using Java.
Yeah.
There's another solution to that, which is what's done internationally, is that you don't teach using an advanced language. You teach using a language like Miranda or Pascal or Turing, which has absolutely no structures, which means anytime you want to link list a tree, you have to build it from fundamental.
There is a reason behind choosing Java. There is a reason behind choosing Java. If students are familiar with one language, at least one language, they're supposed to learn it again and again and again in every course. Okay? Once they started off with Java, they keep on using it, and they just understand the concept, build it using one language. That's good enough. Once they are good at one language, they can switch to C++ or any language.
But they do build tree structures, lists, iterators, all themselves, from fundamentals.
But in Introduction to Programming course, we
That's
are...
what to say, there is more of the data structure in the content.
Yeah.
Data structure
In
and
data
content.
structure courses that we cover.
So by the time they've done their, let's say, first 18 months of their BCS, at the end of the 18th month, if I were to come in and give 7 hard problems that require somebody to work with trees and lists, they'll be able to crack that.
That sounds really good.
Even some of my students, after first semester, they jumped to game programming. They said in summer, we would like to do some game programming. Because they had some passion in it, and I just, picked those students and I said, I gave them some extra time. I said, okay, come on, I know that you can do that. In summer, you should do this thing, and you should go for this project, and blah, blah, something like that. Sure.
One thing I'd like to add is it is a great advantage being able to learn new technology, being able to pick up new technology. And so, while I can appreciate that, depth is good, at some point, I think that you should switch, and maybe you're doing that already, you should switch to having them learn various different things. So, for example, in a particular course or in a problem set or a set of assignments in a particular course, you might want to have them just go and learn about PHP in this way, or whatever.
We did that in Introduction to Computing. Teachers, we also, share our experiences, our faculty member, and another faculty member, she was teaching Introduction to Computing, and I was teaching Introduction to Programming. We both were, sharing our experience and what we know that, for example, I know some of the students are very good at this area, and I recommend please give them these kind of assignments in your course, because I'm covering this area, you should cover that area. And she covered, PHP in order within intro to concluding, because she had to margin to switch to some other tools or give them exposure of different tools. But because I was specific to programming, so I was covering that area, problem solving area, how to solve problem, and teach them to draw flowchart and teach them how to use those using Java. So I have to teach Java also. And so that's what my approach was. So in other courses we were experimenting with different platforms. I chose Eclipse for my.
So if I am trying to summing this thing up, what's the general consensus? Should they be exposed to the languages which are like really in demand in the market right now, like the Java or the PHP or some of the more hard languages? And would that mean that every 4 to 6 years they may have to introduce the whatever new is coming out? I mean, should that be the approach, or should we take something at the very core like a C, for instance, and just build the foundations using that for the first couple of years?
So I think you can teach programming concepts in any language. So you don't need to use Lisp, which is what I learned by programming, in order to teach, about trees and lists and so on. You can use PHP, you can use Java. So why not use the language that is relevant to the industry right now? And you can change every 4 to 6 years. There's nothing wrong.
Just to add to what you are saying is that a lot of the schools actually are language independent. They leave the language to the student. So pick whatever language you want. You want Pascal, you want Java, you want C++, C, assembly. Doesn't matter depending on the pertinent assignment. Any student can pick any language and do the programming in that language. Obviously, the teachers have to recognize them in multiple languages in order to create assignments, but schools are language independent.
A few of my students, they jump to C++ on their own, and they give me a response. They said, "Sir, it's similar, it's easy, no big deal," because they knew the concepts of programming through Java. They, on their own, switched to C++ just to see what is it. It was first semester.
I was just saying that if I were to ask this 62 courses, this is throughout the 4 years?
Yes.
So I think like first year you don't have to focus so much, but if there is somebody, see, students will also start thinking that what salary I'm going to get. So in their electives, like Oais was saying earlier on, in the final year electives or third year electives, they can actually learn what's relevant at that time. But first year they can do the really non-languages.
Exactly. I mean, during the first year they take 2 programming courses. So during the first year and you could say third semester, we are in fact forcing them to program everything in Java. But after that, it's their choice. For instance, I was teaching game programming robotics last year. For somehow we decided to switch to C#. This semester they are learning compile design. And somehow then said, okay, let's do everything in C#. Again, so we don't force them. For the first 2 or 3 semesters, we are using to a particular language.
The point I'm trying to make is very important. I think we're getting into the discussion of which language is good and bad. I think in the first year especially, you have to teach them problem solving, period. That's what Adnan mentioned. Our schools, actually it's the high school or the intermediate before they come to college is where they need to learn problem solving. And it's probably not happening very effectively. So the first year should be devoted to problem. I will tell them how to solve there's a very famous problem in math called the Chinese room problem. Talk about it, debate about it. There's this, polynomial equations are very, very interesting for students who come from that group. Teach them about those things. It's really a course in math that you have to do in the first year rather than worried about, what language am I going to do? That they can do in the final year. So what we're saying is that problem solving and math should be a core course.
Like we have 2 CS courses, then we have C selective, then we have supported science courses. These are all core courses. Which includes math, physics, and stats.
Could you do me a favor? Could you
Go through this first slide.
Courses,
Very.
No, I know.
It's right here.
Not call it supporting science. Could you call it?
It's not a foundation.
I think we are following I think it's what HEC calls them. That's why we have to follow some standards. Yes.
So we have to hit it at that.
So that's
as long as you're getting the message out.
Remove these.
No, I think as long as you're getting the message out to the students that if they don't do well in problem solving, they will be penalized. I mean, it's so important. That's what you're saying. The language is not.
Specific languages. I mean, coming back to the question why we should have languages or we should teach very specific languages at the early stage of the course. I think languages are too specific, too vendor specific, and too biased towards vendors. And in this industry, I mean, programming has been there for the last 30, 40 years, pretty much the same. But every 5, 6, 7 years, you'll have a new vendor coming in with his hot new product and then going out to the market and probably being bought by a bigger fish, which is the case with Java now. So I think at this stage, when you have a student being inducted in 2010, for example, by the time he gets out into the market, probably with the experience of 1 to 2 years, it will be 2016. And by that time, probably you may not have Java simply because no one is here from Oracle, but probably they might have some strategic decision and they would shift it to all Java. Because that is probably the reason they have bought Sun for. So I think if you, I mean,
I think everyone agrees that we are not teaching a particular language. Again, we are just using them as a tool to basically that will allow them to implement that concept.
Please allow me. What Maya was asking for, and everyone, SAP, IBM, Microsoft, Oracle's, and when Sun was there, everyone was asking for consultants, programmers, just to push and sell. I'm not against any vendor, but it's just that they wanted to push their own product, and what they wanted from Dr. Said was to build an army of consultants to support their own business. Well, there's nothing wrong in supporting their business, but your graduate will be coming out in 2016. By that time, probably Oracle would have very different set of priorities. Microsoft would not be supporting these boxes anymore. So I think what we need to teach the students who are being inducted today is the basic concepts.
Actually, we are doing this thing. I'm not saying we are like language specific. You need to know what language to communicate. You can compare. Okay, this
and that could be something as
in English we call this.
And that could be something as primitive as Pascal. There's nothing wrong
you
with
cannot, to program a problem, you need at least one language. That is what we have.
Plus, where I agree with you definitely. I agree with you. We have to focus on basics, of course. But the whole point over here is that the graduates have to get out in the marketplace and get jobs. So if I have to hire 750 people, which IBM has for over the next 2 years, where will I get them? They have to get good jobs, highly paid jobs. So that's my concern. I'm not saying whatever Wayne was saying, that he was not saying that that just do this. In any case, you don't develop or plug consultants from graduate schools. You have to develop. Any consultant has to go to, as Jawad has said, he has to go through a lot of problem-solving skills, analytics, soft skills, other things, and then he becomes a consultant. So it's not as if that you say, okay, fine, bachelor's in consulting or something like that.
Yeah, he has a question, but I'm just wondering, while Sujat Sahab is standing there, and it is the composition of the BS program that we're talking about, before you move, can we at least have somewhat of a feedback on the course structure itself? How many hours worth of what is going into various sectors, segments? Is that something which you think is adequate, or does something need to change? If we can just have some feedback there, but while you think about that, I think.
I just had a question actually, which and then followed up by a couple of comments. So if you go back to the previous slide, when you're looking at database systems, data structures, data structure, does this include data mining, for instance, or applied data mining?
It is not in the BS curriculum, but yes, in MS curriculum we have data mining.
You have data mining and applied data mining, right? It's focused on the business side and how to actually get the information out, not sort of as technical, but actually for business people to look at it. Okay. Okay, so I got the answer to that question. Let me just say the following. I have to agree with Rahim on various points, not just one. Poor guy, he's been fighting this long battle. First of all, I think there's been debate that I hear in the room between salespeople who probably want consultancies to be the core, and those people who want to produce stuff, which are more like engineers and people who do coding. And I'm not business. I'm just seeing this as an observer fly on the wall. And I think you need both, because you can always be salespeople for other people or for things, but you need to produce something to be able to sell it, and that's where India's got its core now. It's actually producing something. I mean, at least this is a layman sort of view that I'm having here. I could be wrong. I can see here some shaking. I don't know if some people agree.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Correct.
Thank you. The next, when I look at this, one of the things that comes to my mind is mathematics is key to the future of any IT system. Okay? They're concentrating in Europe, Eastern Europe, and this is teacher, students mathematics, because that is the future of writing algorithms, and that's how you're going to get fast things. I could be wrong, but maybe that's what I've been hearing. So I have a question. If you see Babson's website, you'll see a mathematics and science faculty or division. They actually have a whole division there, where they have a huge mathematics faculty that focuses on the application of mathematics solely for the purpose of business and IT businesses. And I'm just wondering, because Lee mentioned that you had a affiliation with that lab. Have you tapped that? Have you tried to get that to somehow integrate with what you're trying to propose?
I think that's a very good point. We'll have it noted, but we haven't really touched that as yet. We've been talking to Babson in terms of purely on the business side, on the entrepreneurship side, but we totally disregarded the mathematical.
You might find, I've looked at it and it's very interesting.
Okay.
I mean, it's not mathematics, it's mathematics for businesses.
Applied mathematics.
Applied mathematics on businesses.
And that's exactly what our Department of Mathematical Sciences, as we're going to call it, is supposed to be doing.
I think, you know,
modeling is one part.
I've done those courses. I'll tell you, I think what he's talking about is much more detailed stuff. That's linear programming, all that stuff.
Last semester we offered that course.
But
yeah, Mr. Shafi had it, you know that.
No, I don't. Maybe just ring a bell. But what he's talking about, and he's absolutely right, is that you need to look at mathematics as a very, you know, it's sort of a base. You know, as independent base in its own right.
So are we going to talk about the mathematics and statistics MIS this course? Because this is what you are talking about. So is this in place, or is this being put in place?
Fact number 3.
Overall question, how many hours of teaching do you have with a student on the bachelor's in computer science?
It depends how many courses they are taking in a particular semester. So, but each, let me put this, okay, so for instance, if we have a 3 credit hour course, it means they have to meet for 150 minutes.
Minimum? What's the minimum in a week?
In a week, let me calculate that.
It will be 18 hours per week, broadly speaking, because 6 courses per semester, and each course is at a minimum 3 credit hours. So that's 18 hours, and an hour is a 15-minute hour.
Right. And then you have a tutorial session as well?
No.
Right. I would say your minimum needs to be 2 hours of lecturing per week plus 1 hour of tutorial. Plus assignment. 1 assignment every 2 weeks. 5 assignments in a term, 2 lectures per week, 1 tutorial.
What do you mean? Can you also identify where are those like best practices?
This could be for some certain courses and not
I'm just asking.
for others.
Because I've heard so many flavors of the combination of, you know, somebody says there should be some practical work, there should be project work, there should be internships, there should be people coming from the industry and talking.
I think we have several conversations.
I agree. I think everything you said is very
I mean, if you're so specific, can you tell us where it comes from?
So I'm just focusing on what the university has an obligation to do. Right? So I'm not talking about internships. I'm not talking about corporates coming in. So from my perspective, I'd say you need about 5 to 6 courses in a term, of which you want in a week 2 hours of lectures, 1 hour of tutorials, and one project every 2 weeks. Hands-on project which is done in the student's own time every week. So maybe in the lab time that you've got both. Anything less usually falls in. If you've got less hours than that from the universities I've experienced, those tend to be B-grade universities, where they reduce the number of members. Now, would you agree with those kind of numbers?
I don't know about B-grade universities, but I would broadly I support that. I mean, that makes sense.
So you're talking 3 hours of formal tuition, 2 lectures, 1 hour of problem-solving class, and then one assignment every 2 weeks.
What we do in programming, 2 hours for theory, 2 hours for practical tutorial, 4 hours for 4 credit hours.
Plus an assignment? Yes, plus an assignment.
Yes, yes, now with that. It's 4 credit hours, which means 4 classes in a week. 2 completely in lab, hands-on, and 2 in theory. And that is also, you know, we used to solve problems in class.
Which brings me to another point. Just maybe briefly. So I've been talking to some of my employees about, you know, their experiences with the class and I said, is that how you do it? And I, you know, use Raheem is essentially what Raheem is like. And obviously the focus is on the problem solving, writing programs itself, and they said, yes, this is how we do it. But the problem is, we all copy from each other. So there's the problem. The problem sets, the homework assignments are being copied, right? So there's 2 or 3 people in each class which are actually doing the work, and the rest of them are copying.
Not under the Creative Commons license.
See, if you are experienced teachers first of all motivate them. You should tell them you can copy, but in this way you will not learn. You will have a piece of paper, you can say it's a degree, but you will not know how to solve a problem. And to live is also, if you like to live in this world, you should know problem solving skills. Not only to program, not only to get CS degree, to live in this world. So I motivate my students.
Yeah.
I realize, basically, you need to motivate them first.
No, absolutely.
Otherwise,
We have any
programming
systems?
it's a most, I would say it's a difficult course to teach. First of all, you should motivate them, take them up to some level, and then tell them, come on, play.
Okay, so even though we don't offer, any specialization as per se, but I've tried to, group electives in different clusters. So if you look at the, rightmost table, these are the electives where, they are more geared towards business logic programming. Can you really talk about that? ERP, SAP programming, logistics supply chain, CRM. So these are the courses which are more towards business logic. And then we have some, traditional, more traditional other. CS elective like compiler design, max post interfacing, software quality assurance, and then there are relatively new emerging areas which are offered as elective courses like game programming, robotics, social computing, data warehousing, e-commerce, human-computer interaction. I mean, this is not a complete list. I just mentioned most of the popular courses which are elected by students.
Why do you have SAP?
Why do
you have SAP programming?
We have alliance with SAP.
But most of the MI students they prefer to take these SAP courses. So again, it's an elective. BS students want to take those courses and so they can take it. And again, strongly it's driven by the job market. Students have this perception that if you have a better understanding of SAP, they can get better jobs.
So the important thing is that it's an elective. It's not a core. It's not a core design course.
Right, it's just biasing towards SAP, right? Or independent organization.
That's true.
I want to ask this question. The course of like SAP, ABAP programming 1 and 2 are very specific to SAP. That one's definitely there. But what about the course Enterprise Resource Planning? Is it something generic which can give you the ability, or is it again SAP specific?
It's something like that.
I teach ERP, and in ERP, what I try to do is to give you the basic concepts. What is ERP? What it does? Let's say where is it suited for, and in which department is more useful. Like when I talk about Oracle procurement, so what I'm talking about is a procurement department uses ERP, what are the issues it will resolve and how it will basically streamline the functioning of the procurement department. And I teach, let's say, case studies from Harvard, from LUMS, and give them assignment, how to develop RFPs, how to basically develop responses, and how to solve problems. What are the issues in the procurement department that leads to the implementation of ERP? But this kind of stuff I teach in ERP.
So
but not very specific.
This course is not vendor specific.
Not vendor specific, but you know what? If you are talking about ERP, unfortunately there is no ERP that is basically made by academia. So you have to have either Oracle-based teaching or SAP-based teaching. I mean, what's the use of teaching ERP if I'm not telling them what is Oracle ERP and what is SAP ERP?
But then
What's the use of
can I also ask you, if you have an alliance with SAP, does SAP furnish you with case studies that they've done implementations locally, which might help with
The
a...
case studies are available, let's say, from Harvard and from other sources. So I teach them.
No, but no local case study?
There are some local case studies available.
Yeah, you won't find those kind of in-depth case studies for SAP.
Can I answer this question?
None of these vendors have actually done much.
What we do, we invite guest speakers, and today we are inviting Mr. Zishan Haryani from Siemens. He'll discuss 3 or 4 implementation, organizational structure, some of the problem he faced while consulting, while implementing that project. So in this way, they'll have some kind of idea. If you start implementing a big project in a company using a big vendor product like SAP, what are the basic issues you will face? What are the main issues? And they will get to know also organizational structure, how they are working. So this is how we...
I just had one last comment on being vendor specific or vendor dependent. A lot of the universities are funded by vendors. Cisco provides entire labs with the equipment, and where students, computer networking students actually learn on they learn networking on Cisco equipment. Same goes for Microsoft. Microsoft gives free licenses to a lot of universities for their project, for their Office suite of applications, Microsoft Project. The intent of these companies to be that the students are cognizant with these tools. So when they graduate in the market, they actually take these tools along with them, and then the companies that they work for, they actually either work for those companies or they buy those products from those companies, from the new companies that they start working. It's a common practice. Is it ethical? Is it, that's I guess a separate debate.
I mean, I think there's
a common practice.
nothing wrong with that. I think the only thing that we have to watch out for is that we should be teaching general principles, right? And use the vendors.
And the vendors as a tool, exactly.
Conceptualize
the whole world, as you said. The whole world.
But
nothing wrong.
when it comes to like subject like ERP, you cannot ignore, let's say, the big ERP players in the market.
Yeah.
You cannot ignore Oracle, you cannot ignore SAP.
I totally agree.
You have to teach them what is SAP and what is Oracle.
Totally agree.
You have to be, let's say, some sort of alliances with them so that they can provide the material so that we can basically deliver those material products.
Yeah, lots of physics is going to take 25 minutes, but I think it's, he forgot to mention the number of hours it will take. Okay, anyway, so these are the few courses, and we just move to the next slide. Okay, so these are the core mathematics, physics, and calculus courses. They have to take calculus 1, calculus 2, differential equation, linear algebra, introductory stats, and then 2 physics courses. These are the required courses.
There's not enough stats. Can you go back? There's not enough stats here. Just one introduction. So I think I just feel that's a very important tool. Maybe you want to add a few more courses on stats at least.
There is one additional elective of some modeling and simulation where they do some mathematics.
Yeah, but I know the introduction to stats is something. It's a very basic level course. It's a 101 course, so that's the problem.
Actually, that's one of the weaknesses we see in all computer science students across the Pakistan. And actually, not even in advanced, it's international.
Yes.
So if you could do advanced statistical techniques and advanced mathematical proofs.
Just want to ask, earlier there was a comment about HEC legislating the group. Now, are these courses also legislated by HEC, or do you have freedom to, like the suggestions are coming, do you actually have the freedom to move them around?
Yes, I think so.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, HEC provides guidelines.
So the actual course is actually your decision?
Yes, the actual curriculum is our decision, but we look at HEC to provide us guidelines, so we'd like to have a curriculum which is better than the HEC's recommendations.
They're minimum guidelines.
If you have to trade off, then I'd rather trade off physics 2 for inference and some advanced statistical courses.
And then again, we have some general education courses. I mean, just to have a well-rounded personality. Some of them are core courses like business communication, technical writing, English composition, and these are a list of electives. So in general, they have to take 15 general education required courses, and then they can take 18 electives. And it's a very long list because since we have a very good BBA program, students can take a lot of BBA courses as electives. So I haven't listed all the courses which are offered to a student.
Should economics, at least some level of economics, and should be.
Yeah, these are the most popular electives. So most of the time, if you look at a student's transcript, you would find macroeconomics, management, marketing. So they try to take at least one course from each of the 5 departments we have.
It's very nice to see. We didn't have these kind of choices like 10 years ago.